Imagine a league built by the people, for the people. A league dedicated to the economic development of your city. So the question becomes, how good are the 32 teams that play in the minor football league? Well, there's only one way to find out. You have to experience the MFL.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you now.
Okay, welcome to another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Dr. Richard D. Myles Sr., Senior President, CEO, and founder of the Minor Football League. I got my guest here today, my co-host, Mr. Robert Gatewood of the Marketing Pulpit. How you doing today, sir?
And I am doing great. We're trying to help businesses out here. We're trying to get these business owners started and excited. We know we're going through a pandemic and a few other changes, but it's always a great time to start a great business and to hang around good people who are motivating and inspiring. And that's why we're here on the MFL radio show this afternoon.
Well, Robert, you do so many great things in terms of helping people understand generational wealth and getting back to business, because I so often hear people keep saying, Mr. Gatewood, the first thing they say, once we get back to normal, this is the norm. And I'm quite sure you told them that. What do they keep talking about? Get back to the norm. We're not getting back to the norm. That's something that the president, this previous president, telling everybody he wanted to take America back the way they used to be. Who want to go back to where they used to be? You want to go forward, not backwards. So these are some of the things that, we're going to talk about. The MFL, as you know, we do have ownership here, and we've been in dialogue with several other people we be bringing on and letting MFL Nation know about these other new owners that we got, and we're excited about, Robert.
Well, you said that there is no normal anymore. The good thing about it, though, Mr. Dr. Myles, is that if we play our cards right, we don't want to go back to the normal. The normal was not good for us. We want to go forward, and we're learning some things. We've always been a people who are very adept and survival oriented. But what we're finding out now is that we're learning new survival strategies. We're being more innovative. We're being more collaborative. We're doing things together. We're dropping some of these old beefs and people coming together, putting their heads together. So the normal might not have been the best thing for us, but we do know this. The future is looking very bright. The ones that survive this are going to be stronger and brighter than ever.
Absolutely. And I tell people that understanding what we're going to do with this COVID-19, that, your future going to be bright. You're going to need some shades after a while. So, we understand what's going on with this in terms of it is spiking in several parts of the country. And we got to understand things are going to get worse before they get better. As you know, before anything get better, you got to really go through them hard times. And I tell people all the time, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. You know what I mean, Robert? So I get, trying to explain that to people, and people don't know what to do. And, what I love about having you co-host the show, Robert, because you're someone to help get people back to work and get them to understand. We have to understand business. We got to understand there's nothing wrong with owning your own business. And that's going to be the way to go after a while. When you say,
well, what we are discovering, Dr. Myles, is that we have to control our destiny. And we're seeing that during this pandemic, many companies are facing some very challenging times. And what I've been able to do, and with the help of people like yourself and some of the other partners we're partnering with, is to help people see a new way. There is a better way. Some of those ways of going back to companies that are on the edge, sometimes you're being stymied in your development. You can't be independent. You can't pass on the wealth that you're generating. So what we're doing now is helping these our talented and progressive people who have great ideas, plenty of energy, and some even have money who have not used it properly in the past. We're helping people now point that money, point that talent, point that skill, that vision in the direction of business ownership. That is the future. That is where we have to be. We have to get into that space. We have to make that money. We have to bring our kids into the business. We have to bring in our partners, and that is the future. If we talk about a new normal, that needs to be our new normal. Owning our own businesses, putting our own people to work, putting our kids to work, building our economic foundation. And so that if anybody's got to talk about a normal, that should be it. Let's own these businesses in our community.
And I used to always, reach out to you, and I was always saying, why is it people afraid? Well, I'll take that back now. People apparently they've been listening to us because now I'm excited about 2 more, possibly 3 more franchises in the process of being sold. We're just working through some little legal things, but like you say, I'll speak it into existence. It's getting ready to happen, and we'll be letting everybody know about that. So, like part of this, the MFL, it makes sense, and people understand what you're saying. Maybe I cannot articulate it as well as you do in terms of what you've been doing, which is so invaluable to the MFL. But now people begin to listen, Robert.
Yes, they are listening, and you articulated pretty well yourself. But what's happening is that we've had the opportunity to do a reset. In the past, we were afraid to do certain things because we might lose our good job, we might lose our family, we might do this or that, the other.
Now they got to work. They're gone.
You have those barriers are no longer there now. You have a opportunity now to take some risks that you weren't able to take in the past because like I said, you felt like you had too much to lose. Well, now we still have something to lose, but the risks are not as great because everybody right now is facing some type of risk. So you're not in a unique situation. So what you need to do now is take advantage of this time and go ahead and take that risk. Of course, you got to do your due diligence, make sure you're making the right, do your research, and that you're doing things by the books. But this is a optimum time to start looking at stepping outside the norm and going out here, taking some risks, starting your business, buying a franchise, and looking at ways to build this generational wealth. And if you look, you look at where you are now, you look at where the community is. There's a lot of opportunity for growth. The past has not been necessarily that great for us. We're kind of at the bottom of many of the economic indicators. So the only way to go is up. So let's jump out here and take advantage of some of these opportunities that are before us now and turn this thing around to our advantage.
And as you know, Robert, I mean, even now, in talking with you, because we talk all the time, thank God for you being on our executive board. People are understanding, and even with you, what you say, you so busy now, everybody call you now, because now I think they realize they can't be afraid now. They don't have the luxury of sitting back and trying to be complacent now. And for the right word for it, people panicking now, whether they want to admit it or not. And it's been a few months now, Robert. Things are not going back to where they thought they would. Now they need to understand they got to take a good look at everything now. Whatever they're gonna do to advance themselves and their family and the things that they need to do, this is the time. I don't say it, and I'm not gonna say it anymore because it's not a risk now. It's something that they need to do, and a lot of them was a little complacent in even their business. That's why everybody calling you now. Is that surprising to you or no, Robert? Because we talk about this all the time.
Well, I'm not surprised because I have looked throughout the years as long as I've been in business. I know that there's like 5 things that's going to motivate people people, there's really, when you look at the whole array of emotions and why people make a business decision or any type of decision, there's about 5 reasons they're going to do it. Either some type of physical need, convenience, security, but one of the big ones is fear. And when people start getting afraid, they start to move. And people are afraid about losing their livelihood, losing their jobs, losing their family, losing their ability to make a living. They start calling people like me. I'm not mad at them. Like I say, my business is doing extremely well, not because I've suddenly become a genius. I've been a genius all along, but they just didn't realize that fear didn't motivate them.
Right.
But now they have more at stake. They have more at stake and more to lose. I mean, I just got off the phone with a young lady right before the show, and she has a company. She's an event planner, and things are not going that well for her. And I told her, so look, I know you're in an industry where people aren't doing a lot of in-face communication. They're not getting together in big groups like they used to. I said, but there's a way to think our way out of this. I said, with your abilities, my skills, and we look at the situation on a case-by-case basis, we can take some of these businesses that are struggling or some of the people who are starting new businesses, get somebody who can help you think this through. That's one of the challenges that people have, Dr. Myles. Also, sometimes people think they know everything. They think they've figured it out, but they're afraid to come to folks who actually know what they're doing. And I think we're seeing some of that being overcome by some of this fear of people losing things. So it's not that people have gotten smarter or wiser than they were in the past. They're starting to fear what's going to happen if they don't make some type of change in the way they're doing business.
And, it's always great to have someone with your expertise a part of the MFL, because I don't claim to know everything, and I'm not going to ever tell anybody I do know everything. But, kind of shifting gears a little bit in terms of what inside the MFL are doing, we are excited about it. Has been some movement in the MFL in terms of how solid we are as far as where the franchises are, because the Steelers, we put the Steelers up in Texas. We're excited about that. And San Antonio, we're excited about that. We're excited about the Saints, putting them up there in Philadelphia in the state of Pennsylvania. We're excited about that move. We're excited about Fort Lauderdale, the 49ers there. And our dean, Dr. Eubank, I can't think of no one better at that helm there.
That's right.
See, so we kind of, and we can't say enough about Dr. Pat Freeman and all the things that he's doing, as far as everybody in the MFL. But also, we got some movement. We get ready to make another big announcement. I'm kind of excited about it because, things are moving slowly but surely. And what I mean by that, as I stated earlier in the show, things are going to get worse before it get better. So we are prepared, if I might use those words, because you never be prepared for anything, as you know, Robert. But we kind of be ahead of the curve as much as possible. So we very selective and very cautious in what we do announce, because we want to make sure everything is right. I can say all 16 of the franchise in America is solid.
Yes.
Well, that's where they're going to be. Now is a matter of us negotiating and talking to people with these deals in terms of the purchase of the franchises. People not afraid no more, believe it or not. And you'd be surprised what people can do or can come up with when you have to. But I always say, Robert, I always tell people all the time, do things because you want to, not because you have to. Because when you have to, that's when you start making mistakes. When you agree, you're back up against the wall. And then when you rush to make a decision, not necessarily that be the best decision. We're excited about the franchise going over to Africa. We're in dialogue with them all the time. And the more I talk to them, the more excited I get, and we don't want to get me too excited, Robert. But I am very happy about that. I can't be more happy because we're going to shock a lot of people, man. A lot of people going to say, they begin to look at this thing now, Robert, more and more.
Man, you have every right to be excited. There are some exciting things happening. And like you said, we don't take anything away. We still want to take pause and tell people to be safe. And we
Mhm.
wish people who are suffering, we wish them well and a speedy financial recovery. Anybody who's been stricken by this disease, we wish them good health. But we have to admit, when things are going well, we have to stop and pause. We have to look, welcome on the new franchises in Texas and Philadelphia and Fort Lauderdale, and of course, the steps we're making going over to Africa. The thing you were saying earlier about people, you say you didn't know everything, you weren't that smart, you didn't have. Well, look, one of the smartest moves I've observed about you over the years, and I try to follow that myself, is to surround yourself with smart people.
Thank you.
And so, even just being around you and the other members of the MFL board, I mean, it just rubs off on you. The excitement rubs off, the knowledge, the understanding of how the business world works, how to make partnerships and relationships, how to bring people into your fold. We can learn something from everybody, because I know I've learned a lot from being affiliated with you in the MFL, and hopefully it's reciprocal. And so we have to just keep partnering together, bringing these great people in, like Dr. Eubanks, people who know how to move the pieces around the chessboard and make economic foundations solid and build organizations and create wealth in our community, which is what we're all about. We're trying to build this wealth in our community so we can stop being so dependent on other people who don't have our best interests at heart.
And you're so kind with your words. I've learned so much from you, and I think I'm not one of those types afraid to admit that. I've learned so much from you. And it's something that Dr. Eubanks said, that Wall Street is gone. Black Wall Street is gone. Okay, so we can't keep dwelling, embellishing upon something that's gone. Secondly, Amazon is here. It won't be no more of them. No more Walmarts and stuff. Now it's time for us to start this new journey, in which we have the people, the like-minded people, the very intelligent people like yourself, smart individuals that understand where we're going. You know what I mean? You can't be on the ship and not have a navigator. You be just you just be spinning your wheels. But I have learned that this game of life is a game of chess.
Yes.
Checkers is over with. I'll let you jump one of my men to jump two of yours, it's gone. It's check and checkmate. If you don't understand this game is a game of strategy. It takes a lot of thought. So you're not just jumping around the board. You know what I mean? So you have to be very cautious in your movement in the game of chess. So I look at life as chess, and I can't think of nothing more appropriate. Not saying that life is a game, but you can equate a lot of things with some type of concept or some type of game that's true. That's where you get the concept for the game. If I'm maybe so bold to say that. Wouldn't you say, Robert?
Well, you're 100% right. One of the things that I do when I'm working with clients, and when they come along, they say, look, Mr. Gatewood, I need some help with my marketing or my business development. One of the first things we do, I said, look, you got to put aside some of your resources. We have to come up with a strategy. Like you said earlier, you need some type of navigation. You just can't go out here and start walking down the street nilly-willy. You got to know where you're going. And so I think that's one of the challenges that we have had as a community, is that we haven't had the luxury of taking the time. We haven't had the energy, the resources, in some cases, just the knowledge of people who to go to get their answers, to sit down and come up with a plan and a strategy. And that's why I like the fact that the MFL is already looking at 2021 and some of the expansion plans, some of the new franchises, some of the people that are coming on board. There's some strategic moves being made. And strategy is what's going to make or break you sometimes when you're in this world of everything up in the air, a lot of things, uncertainty. You're not sure what's happening today or tomorrow. Well, you got to go ahead and put some strategy together. And that's what I like, what's happening right now. I see strategy. I see the pieces moving around on the MFL chessboard. Those pieces are being moved and they're being strategic. And that's in part, of course, due to your leadership and bringing some good people on board who know how to move those pieces.
Absolutely. And, having someone like yourself understand business, not business. And that's what you have to understand. And don't be afraid to ask somebody that knows. We tend to well, I'm gonna try it. If it don't work, I ain't let nobody know I tried it. You know, you might be missing a couple of components in there that was the deciding point. What will make you successful or not? Well, because you didn't ask. You know what I mean, Mr. Gatewood? That's the kind of thing that I don't understand. I don't leave anything to chance. That's why I get the best people that I possibly can get. You know, to be on the executive board and be a part of this. Even the owners and stuff, it ain't just about money. We talking about somebody that we want to make sure these franchises in the right people's hands that understand legacy. You understand? Generational wealth. See, we done played everybody else's game. You know, the number thing they did, the horse racing. Only people benefited out there was the people on top. The money came from the people that didn't have, you know, and it's still all down to the haves and the have-not. It's going to still come to that, even when this COVID-19 pandemic is over. And a lot of people need to understand that. And we need to take control of what we do in terms of even sports. 79% of, look at the ratio in all the different professional sports. Who do all the work? Well, who make the less money?
And is that history just continuing to repeat itself or not? It's, man, go back to 16, 19, and the faces have changed, the positions have changed, the amount of money has changed, but the strategy, the structure has not changed much at all. And that's why I'm glad to see the MFL actually changing the way that dynamic works. And the other thing I like is that the fact that you're looking at bringing women on board, and you have women owners and women GMs and women making decisions. Some even the franchises that are coming on board, like Pat Freeman up in Rochester, an all-female executive board, and the lady you had on last week, the week before that. It's just showing that this is a new day, and that the old rules don't work. We've seen years of young black men being put on the gridiron with no future and no hopes of ownership. And of course, we're seeing other leagues take a more aggressive stance. But MFL, it's from top to bottom, bottom to top. There is no learning curve here. It's already built into the fabric of what the MFL is all about. It is that laboratory of change. So we don't have to gradually get there. It's what the MFL actually is. And so that's why as we start going and finding our way, navigating through this pandemic, coming on the other side, you're going to see companies like the MFL and organizations going to come out leading the way, leading the charge, because we got a head start with the right mindset from the beginning.
And it's ironic that you say that, because we want women to understand you belong at this table.
Amen.
We're not making room for you. You belong at this table.
That's right.
People all the time. We don't need foot soldiers. We need field generals. And who better field general than a woman? And women understand the fact that they've been waiting for a long time to get at this table. Right. But we're not problem at all. Not only we open the door, we pulling the chair back. We're making sure we put some water at the table, whatever you need, so we can hear your strategy and what you have. We want all you have in terms of what you know that'll make the MFL successful, even more successful than what it is. Being ownership, we leave nothing to chance. From ownership to top, there's no glass ceiling here. As you know, Mr. Gatewood, and we want people to understand that there's no glass ceiling here. You got all these people home because of these different, you know, we understand the situation with COVID, but you know, I learned from you, we had this technology here. We don't need TV. We got social media. And with social media, see you around the world. TV is limited to certain areas. Am I right or wrong, Mr. Gatewood?
Exactly right.
We are seen around the world. And we want people to understand, don't sit home. Whatever field that you in college and you sitting there, because we understand that they're back and forth with the college situation, because some people think they can go around with no masks on, and some people think it's going. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. But you can do something about it. You know, we need writers. You know, we need people in sports management. We need people that that interested in writing, you know, marketing, PR. We need that. You know, right. What better way to get you up, get your platform already where you know And I'll just put it out here when people always say, when things go back to normal, what they think normal is, then you got to start over. But if you already had these things in place, you already had a platform. You were writing for the MFL. You were doing stuff in the MFL. Because I'm telling you right now, the MFL is going to shock not only the world, but people going to see it in a different light. They're going to scratch their head and say, we should have. If we could have, we wish we could have, or should have, would have.
Well, you're exactly right. And particularly when people start seeing these inroads you're making into the motherland of Africa, and how we are opening up a new avenue of intertrade between the continents, and that's major. That's huge. And I think as we've seen this new movement of people gravitating towards the MFL, and we're seeing the owners, we're seeing like you said, these talented young ladies coming on board. I think they feel that momentum, Dr. Myles. I think they're starting to see, they're starting to shake off some of that hesitation and apprehension. And sometimes, because our folks have been enslaved and indoctrinated in our minds so long that we see that black face, we figure it's not legit, or it's not as good, or the ice is not as cold. I think that's starting to shed, and it happens. It's starting to shed because of people like the MFL, like yourself, people seeing people out here doing things, surrounding themselves with great people who are doing great things, and they start to think again that they can do it. It's real. It's simple. I think we have to continue to do that. We have to continue to do that. And I think as we navigate this pandemic, it gives us more of an opportunity, because the playing field has been leveled in many areas where before there were obstacles. Some of those obstacles have been moved out of the way, like you said, like you gave the example of the show here. In the old days, we thought this is impossible. Go out here and start a show that's broadcast around, or not just the state or the country or the southeast or the northeast, but around the entire planet. And people right now, we have people tuning in from the continent of Africa, and we see them coming up on the timeline. They're giving their comments. This is huge. This is what's happening right now, and people need to embrace it and hop on the wagon from people who are doing these things, like the MFL.
And people, and and the sad part is, and I wouldn't say sad, that they was afraid of nothing.
What are you afraid of, right?
I was talking to some people in a meeting, and I told them that I apologize. I said for absolutely nothing. And they kind of stood back and listened, and they had to catch on to it. We don't have to be apologetic for nothing that we're doing. We're doing what needed to be done, that should have been done, that was afraid to do.
Yes, sir.
But as you can see, it's nothing to be afraid of. You got everything to gain and nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
It's and that's what I think part of the challenge has been over the years is that we focus mainly on the tactical and the logistic challenges that face us, without tackling the mindset that has held us back so long. And that's been one of my goals of at my company and with the MFL, is to help remove some of these mental barriers. It's like that elephant, you put a little string around his ankle and he's afraid to move because he knows anytime he sees something that tied to his ankle, that means it's going to hold him back. Not realizing he could not only move that string, he could run down the whole building if he chose to. He put his mind to it. And that's the same thing. We are that elephant. We've had those chains holding us back. The chains have gotten smaller to the point where you don't even need a rope anymore, because the mental rope is there. And so part of our challenge as organizations and leaders is to help remove some of those mental barriers, move that little rope from around, that last little rope from around people's ankles, so they can start going out here and making the strategic moves they need to make to go back to their communities and build this economic foundation. And so once again, I see the MFL as one of the leaders, one of the pivot people in this process. And that's why it's good to have the MFL around and other organizations like it.
And I have to take my hat off to you, and if I don't say it enough, it's not because I'm not acknowledging it, but you know why people are so afraid of us? And I say this because the strength is in our unity. That what makes them fear us. Unity, remember that. That's something that if people don't understand, it's going to destroy a lot of people because of the camaraderie that we had, that everybody doing. You stayed a long time ago. You know, you have to have camaraderie. And something that they really need to listen to my voice and what I'm saying, because this will resonate in people, in our unity. Unity. If that would destroy people of color for a long time, because we did not have unity. And when you have unity, you know, and I know, I don't have to tell you how powerful it is. Your strength is in our unity. And that's something that we did not have.
You know, during history, through the history, there used to be these colored laws that they would actually implement where you couldn't even put 4 or 5 black people together. It was against the law. They come and break you up, say, hey, go down the street. You need to go that way. You go that way. Well, that was done on purpose. And it's not only for just people standing on the street corner, but throughout history, there have been a concentrated effort to make sure we don't put our heads, our resources, our strengths, our people, our talent together. Because once it happens, there are some amazing things that's going to happen. I'm seeing it happen with the MFL. And you've been wise enough to know that you need to bring in these different parties, these different organizations, these people with a vast majority, vast array of talent. That's the other thing too. I look at the hierarchy of the MFL. I mean, it's like every industry is represented, every gender, every race, every age group. It is amazing patchwork of talent, of people coming together. So this fear of people coming together, I mean, it's not unfounded, because great things happen, and people that don't want you to excel, they're going to make sure that it doesn't happen. What we have to do is to make sure we don't let pettiness and jealousy and backbiting ever enter into our thought process. And so far, I'm glad to see that it hasn't, because the NFL has been operating on a unified front, and that's why great things are happening.
And you're so right, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because we are here not trying to steal everything. What we try to do is share the wealth with everybody. And that's something people make mistakes. You have people want all of the money. You can't have all of the money. You can't have all of the wealth. You can't have all of the gold, all the diamonds. That's impossible. There's no way. That tends to bring on deceit, mistrust, and pettiness. You know what I mean? We're saying that we want everybody, the MFL, now remember these words, the MFL gonna make more billionaires than there ever was in history. They're gonna make billionaires, and we're not just talking about in football, in all facets of business, because the laboratory of change, that's what that consists of. Our unity, and also what everybody brings to the table, even your business. People need to understand business.
Business.
They have to understand that. They have to understand marketing, PR. Then we have people, like-minded people in these positions say, let us show you how to do this. Let us show you. We have no ulterior motive for this other than get you where you should be. And all that we're doing is room for everybody. Is everybody can make, because if you handle that component, he handled this component, I handled this component. Now we got everybody doing what their expertise in, as opposed to trying to be a jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
And I say to people, what makes the MFL scary to people is our unity. And that's something that the world's going to really understand. Unity. That's the key to all this, is unity. Like-minded people come and say, look, we have this to bring to the table. Okay, we need this, and this is what you're sharing because we have that component now.
Yeah, and I think there's an old business model out here that I've been fighting since I've been in business, and that is you got to bring people in, let them fight it out, and tear each other down in order to grow. That is so old, and that is so passe. I've always believed that we as a people, we have to operate on a different model because we're cut from a different cloth. Our culture just does not operate that way. And we've somewhat adapted the bad habits of the folks that have oppressed us. And so what we have to do is shake that off and go back to where we were, to our roots of culture, of building and innovating and discovering and lifting people up and building kingdoms instead of tearing them down. And so that model I'm seeing become more pronounced and it's proliferating, particularly during this pandemic. I'm seeing a collaboration and lifting people up that I haven't seen in years. And I've like I said, I've been around for years. I'm a little long in the tooth, but but I'm really enjoying this. Like I did a sermon the other day about the silver lining and how you have to find the silver lining in things. And this is not to minimize the hardship that some people have endured or still enduring, but look for that silver lining. Look for the positive that's coming out of what's going on right now. And there is quite a bit of things to look at and say, look, this is actually positive. This is going to benefit me and people I know and my stakeholders. And so that's part of that changing the mindset. And as I think it's our responsibility, Dr. Myles, is that as we continue to grow and profit and develop and create institutions and businesses, it's part of our calling is to set examples of what's doable and how and the right way to do it. And I'm teaching. I tell my clients, they look at me sometimes like I'm crazy when I say, look, sometimes I'll tell people, look, I'm not ready to take your money yet because this is not the right time. It's let's do A, B, and C. And what is wrong with this guy? It's a new day.
And they don't understand that, huh, Robert? Tell the truth.
That drives them crazy. Wait a minute, what's wrong with this guy?
That register, and pardon me if I cut you off a little bit.
No, that's not.
We have 5,000 guys registered, and you know what all of them say every time they call? We don't see anything on here how we pay our registration. I said, we're not taking no registration right now. Well, I want to get my spot. No. This is an open tryout. You will get your opportunity like everybody else. But it just goes to show you that people mindset now, it's not a closed door anymore. Now, this for MFL Nation, because we know all the GMs. We make sure we have all of them to do a watch for the show. Right. Think about this, and you are money man. And I said I don't want people to think that in the wrong way, like we sending some money somewhere or anything. But our expertise on business, and I'll rephrase it so people understand. We don't want them, because one thing about the MFL, we want to make it everything more clarity to everything as much as possible. We don't want people to assume anything. If you don't know, we're going to tell you. But think about this, Mr. Gatewood. People of color, if we just support the MFL alone and not being a racial statement or nothing, well, all the other nationalities, we don't need them. Think about this. If the people of color supported the MFL, do you understand, or should I say, they don't understand the wealth they can accumulate with the different businesses they're doing? Because now we trading within ourselves. I mean, can you imagine that? Think about that. Well, and as I said, what, $1 trillion to $2 trillion a year go through our hands, people of color.
Well, it goes back to that earlier statement that as long as you can keep people fragmented and fighting against each other and separate, you got to keep that trillion fractured. You can't let it come together and point it in the same direction. Man, that's going to be stronger than many countries. I mean, there's 190 countries out here in the world. Man, we'd be right up there in the top 10. That's a scary thought to many people. So what we have to do, we can't succumb to that type of thinking. And what we have to do, it goes back to our responsibility as business owners and leaders. We have to continue to break down these barriers to let people, one, inform them how much power we actually have, and two, that belief that we can do this as well, if not better than other people who are doing it. Just take that out of your brain that this is beyond our capabilities. Nothing could be further from the truth. Tell me, that's what drives me crazy.
You and me both, because we had that financial, and people say we don't. Stop saying that. That's a mentality that they had. They have perpetuated and make people of color think that. Why are you spending all these trillions of dollars, and they say we don't have no money? We have all the spending power, but we have no money. Something wrong with that.
I've heard some people say, somebody said, what do you have to lose? You're bad off as you can get. Man, let me tell you something. People have convinced a lot of people, not only in our community, but around the world, that we are this poor, penniless. Yes, there's some poverty. There's, like in every race, there are people that struggles. There's two sides of track in every community. But for somehow, it has become the narrative that that's all of who we are. Boy, but let me tell you something. When you pull back the covers and you look at exactly what's going on, man, it's a totally different ballgame.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's
the problem is we have at least let our people understand what the reality is. So we have to know. Other people, they got to get there, but we need to know ourselves. At least our people need to understand the power that we have within our community.
And you're so right. And you know, we're not being racial by no means.
No.
We just talk about us. Can we talk about us? And without using the term, can we all just get along? No. Get along for what? We're talking about the economic development of people of color. That's what we're talking about. But
you know what, Dr. Myles?
It scares everybody else.
It's people always saying, so look, why don't you all do this? Why don't you all do that? Why do you all have to come to somebody with your hands out? Well, when we sit here and talk about it, then you say we're wrong, but you're saying we're being racial. You're saying we're being divisive. Come on, make up your mind. Make up your daggone mind.
We can't worry about what they think.
We can't.
We have to. They got to understand. We got to stop worried about what people think, because believe it or not, they don't care about what you think. They really don't. And we need to understand that, you know, we're no different than anybody else. We like-minded, smart, intelligent individual. But after a while, that scared people because, on one hand, we the most dumbest people in the world, the most illiterate people in the world, but yet and still, you scared of us.
You know what? This has been one of my pet peeves over the years, is that our people try to run and hide from who they are in order to fit in. I think it was Teddy Pendergrass did a song said, you can't hide from yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are. So if you're running from who you are, how do you expect your folks to support you if you're undercover, if you're hiding and you're denying who you are? At some point, you have to step up and be who you are so that we can have this collective energy and synergy. But you can't do it when you're out here being you're hiding from your actual identity. And so what I ask people to do is say, look, if we can be proud, I mean, this goes all the way back to James Brown. Say it loud. If you can be proud, put your chest out and let people see that you are a leader, that you are not broke and penniless with your hands out, then more people are going to come around and support, and we can start channeling these resources, because we're not hiding, pretending we're something we're not. Let's go back to the days of our forefathers over in the good continent and put our chests out here. Let's go ahead and rebuild. Let's rebuild Wall Street. We can do that, but we have to be collective and we have to be proud of who we are, and understand that we're not this poor, penniless, helpless, begging community. We have resources. Let's be proud and go out here and like you said, let the MFL, my company, other people like us, lead the way. Come on, let's support these organizations in our community, and let's build that Wall Street again.
Absolutely. And stop being afraid. We got to get out of being afraid of nothing, really. And when you're talking about people, we're always saying this to you. You don't have to join the MFL. We're not picking on or telling people, if you don't join the MFL, then y'all not. No, we're not saying that. You have a mind. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. And here's the chaplain in me coming out. I tell everybody, God's in charge. And if you know your Bible and your scripture, even when everybody talking about when God doesn't come back, but like you say, I'm gonna come back like a thief in the night. I'm not coming dressed up where y'all can clean up, because we don't want you cleaning your house up. He don't want you putting on your best attire, because he wants to see you as you truly are. Don't clean up, don't go high, because now you're being evasive. You're not being really who you are. And those are the type of things that people need to understand. All we're saying to people of color is this: there's nothing wrong with that overlead, but it's somebody else's. Aren't you taught to look at over history all of the businesses that people of color supported, but what do you have out of it? You can buy the Gucci stuff and all that, but how do you benefit from it?
That's right. You can have both. I mean, people drink Pepsi, they drink Coke. That doesn't mean one can't exist because the other exists.
There you go. And we know for people like yourself, and we will put that out there, a lot of these companies are really not different companies. They're the same company, they just several as the other company. Am I right or wrong? See, a lot of people that split the money. So if you don't get the money, I'll get the money. That's how they think. And that's what the mindset that they, I always say the public has been the biggest guinea pigs in the world.
I was a buyer. When I came out of college, I was a buyer for a national food chain. And that was one of the first things that I learned in business as a buyer is that these companies will come in, whether it was Procter & Gamble, Little Brothers, Johnson & Johnson, and these one company would have like 30 different items. Like Procter & Gamble, they make Charmin, they make Bounty, they make Folgers coffee, they make Tide, they make Cheer. And what we discovered was that, like you said, you putting your money, you think they're competing one company against the other, but a lot of times it's the same company that makes all the products. And so it is a game out there sometimes. And the consumers, sometimes consumers, they think they're outsmarting these guys. Man, let me tell you got to wake up a lot earlier in the morning to beat these guys at their game.
I'm telling you. And the game is simple. And I tell people all the time, we got to understand we have an opportunity to have our own, to support our own. And people don't understand it, because I tell them, we love the National Football League. Okay. But no matter how big them stadiums is, what Jerry World hold 100-some thousand people. But it's still millions of people that can't get in there.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So it's not that you don't have the capacity and the money. All the colleges the different universities hold hundreds of thousands of people. It's still millions of people still can't fit in there.
Can't get in. Just like you,
people
like you famous.
Right or wrong, numbers don't lie.
Well, it's like you famously say about the MFL. You said it's not that these guys aren't good enough; it's just not enough room.
So where you go home and you pout because you feel that you should have been there. Why are you begging somebody for something that we give you opportunity to own?
That's right.
Why are you begging for a job when we give you opportunity to have your own business?
Amen.
Because, my old man always say, $1 from 1 million people, isn't that still $1 million? And believe me, we can make more billionaires than anybody else right now. Companies not designed for you to become a billionaire. Or they'll pay you a little salary, but you have to look at several things happen to you. You can get fired.
Yep.
Okay. You're gonna run into that glass ceiling.
Yep. Yep.
But we have none here. We have none here. And the sooner we can understand that as a people, and the better you go. If it's, I tell it, it's more disadvantage than there are advantage. Am I right or wrong, Rob?
You're exactly right. I like to use this. I like to use this analogy. People look at that spending power in the Black community at $1 trillion, but that is only the tip of the iceberg.
There you go.
Because you get some smart people in the room that knows how to turn 1 trillion into 10 trillion. And if you get people pointing in the right direction, that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. That's not the end. That is just the beginning. That is so awesome to think about it in those terms.
And the sad part is that I heard this guy told me, man, they got this new business out, man. If you get them $500 in 6 weeks, they give you $4,000. Well, if they can give you $4,000, what they need your $500 for? I mean, some of the stuff that they come out with, but we gullible and we'll go for it. We're always reaching for something that don't make sense. It really don't make sense.
Yeah, I've told several people, I understand that people trying to find a way to make money, and I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but these type of clubs like that, they're going to collapse. They're just the reality. This is not just my opinion. They will collapse. Most states, they're illegal. So
I had a friend of mine, and I call him a friend because I like to think of everybody as friends. Our closer friend it is that, you determine it. But they got mad at me because they came to me with all these people and they say, well, we want to set a deal up with you, Dr. Myles, we got this great thing. When they were talking about the Bitcoin thing, I looked at them, I said, are you kidding? Because I said, are you kidding? If you look at the logistics of it and understand how that's done, you are crazy. Even mess with that. Now these same individuals lost a lot of money and they mad. Because all you had to do was look at it and you see it didn't make sense.
Well,
but they say the more unbelievable it sounds, the more people believe it.
Well, the thing about it, I mean, whether it's legit or not, there's enough legitimate things. There are enough things that we know that'll work that we could be investing in. We don't have to experiment there's so much wealth within our community that if we can just channel it, look at the needs and wants. Look, the key to success is to look at the needs and wants and problems of any group of people, whether it's our community, outside of our community, and that's the place to start. When you're looking at some of these new ideas, you ask yourself, is that satisfying a need or a want? If the answer is no, I'm not saying that it won't somewhere down the road, but we have needs right now in our community. We need technology, we need entertainment, we need hair, we need food. Those are needs right now that are in our community that right now are being handled by others other than us. Start there.
Absolutely. And I used to, God rest his soul, I used to thought my father was embarrassment because he used to say things. I used to take him to Walter Reed because he was a veteran. And as soon as he got up there, the nurses saw, oh my God, it's Mr. Myles coming. And I was kind of embarrassed because I thought he was being rude. But when you really listen to him, he made sense. And he used to tell the nurses, look, first of all, let's don't waste each other's time. They pay you to tell me what I can get. I want you to tell me what I can get. And let's don't waste each other's time. And when I thought about it, Mr. Gatewood, it made sense. It made sense. He said,
Yes,
they
it does.
pay you to tell me what I can't get. I want you to tell me what I can't get. That way we don't waste time. Can I get my team? I'm a veteran. Can I get my team? If I can't, just tell me that. Don't tell me, well, we have to check on this. And he used to really get irate with him. Now I understand.
That's pretty smart. I like that.
You know, and he
I
said,
like that.
there's so much rhetoric going on in the world. If somebody brings something down to you, people of color, by the time it gets to you, all the money has been made.
That's right.
It's only left for what you call, like you see little dogs out there and they find a little piece of meat and they become scavengers. They fight over what's left over. Most of the choice parts of the meat and stuff are gone, so they fight over it. Right now, I say stop fighting people. Stop trying to be invited somewhere where people don't want you, first and foremost.
Mr. Myles, you just said something there that's so profound that needs to be put on a billboard. Many times, and I've been saying this many years, and I'll continue to say it, many of the opportunities, by the time they get down to our level or our community, the money is already gone.
It's already gone.
We didn't get in at the right time, and timing is everything in business.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Timing is everything. And right now, I think, you know, by the help of the Lord, because I tell people all the time, God's in charge. People don't see. Then they think right now, on the MFL trying to do this. I said, we had 16 over here. We don't have 16 no more. 16 going to Africa. When you look at it, that's not a lot. We taking 16 franchises over the continent of Africa, which had 50 countries over there. We don't have enough. You know, and that's what it is. People always want what they cannot have. Is that true or not?
That's true.
You know, or what my father used to say, because my father was from the country. You know, you can identify with that, Mr. Gatewood. He was from down there. And he said, and I never understood, he said, dogs scratch for it and human beings ask for it. And I never understood what he mean until 10 years ago. I understand the concept, what he was saying.
Yeah. You know, my first business was a payphone. And the guy that sold me the business, they knew that the payphone business was on the way out. I was young. I didn't understand business at the time. But what that experience taught me is that whenever you get an opportunity, you got to look to where it's going, not where it's been. And this concept that has been so foreign to many in our community, we have constantly found ourselves jumping on a train that already left the station. So we have to start being a little more proactive. And yes, it means taking some risks, because the reason you jump on those ideas is because you got comfortable with them. You feel like they were safe. But what you didn't realize is that it was over. The party was over. Everything was over except the lights being turned. We got to be a little more astute.
And they was coming to turn them off. You know,
Yes.
It's just that is so refreshing having you, someone of your caliber, Mr. Gatewood. Tell our MFL nation how they can get in contact with you.
Thank you again, Dr. Myles, for having me on the show and being a part of the MFL, great organization. Doing my day job, I'm actually a marketing and business developer. My company, Gatewood Marketing and Web. You can find me at gatewoodmarketing.com. And every Friday, I do the Marketing Pulpit TV show. We are a business development show where we give out information on how to build businesses, how to tackle some of this technology, how to create income streams. And we do that every Friday at 10:30. You can find out more about that by going to marketingpulpit.com. And you can you listen to the past shows. You'll see many shows that have Mr. Myles himself on it and other representatives from the MFL. And of course, every Wednesday, I'm right here at 5 o'clock joining Mr. Myles on the Experience the MFL on the MFL radio show.
Absolutely. And we also, we're on all of the different platforms, social media platform. Our website is mflishere.com. The MFL is the laboratory of change. And I want people to understand there is opportunities here for you. I don't want people to say, we did not know. You know what I mean? We did not know. So until Friday, you have been listening to another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Dr. Richard D. Myles. I'll see you Friday. Thank you for tuning in.